He didn't lose his way. He was punished for winning. The Trojan War was over. After 10 long years, the fighting had finally stopped. The shores of Troy, once stained with blood, now echoed with the sounds of celebration. Greek soldiers, survivors of a decade of brutal conflict, cheered and sang, their voices rising to the sky. Victory was theirs. The city of Troy had fallen, but one man stood apart from the joyous crowd. King Odysseus of Ithaca. He stood on the sandy beach, the salty wind whipping through his hair, his eyes fixed on the distant horizon. He should have been celebrating. It was a hero, the architect of the final victory, the man who conceived the ingenious Trojan horse. Yet, there was no joy in his heart. Instead, a cold, creeping fear had taken root. For 10 years, this war had been his life. 10 years of dust and steel and death. He had seen friends fall, heroes rise, and empires crumble. He survived it all, not through brute strength alone, but through his intelligence, his cunning, and his unwavering patience. He had outsmarted his enemies, navigated treacherous alliances, and endured unimaginable hardship. He made sacrifices that haunted his dreams, choices that weighed heavily on his soul. Every decision, every loss, was a scar he carried. Throughout it all, one single, burning desire kept him going. The thought of home. The image of his kingdom, the rocky shores of Ithaca, was etched into his mind. More than his crown, more than his title. He yearned to see his wife, the ever-faithful Penelope. He pictured her face, her smile, the warmth of her embrace. He longed to see his son Telemachus, who was just an infant when he left. Now, he would be a young man, a stranger. A wave of guilt washed over him. He had won a war for others, but in doing so, he had lost 10 years with his own family. He had left them vulnerable, surrounded by opportunistic suitors who saw his absence as a chance to seize his throne and his wife. He had fought to protect a kingdom that was not his, while his own was left undefended. The irony was a bitter pill to swallow. He had achieved a legendary victory, but the prize he truly wanted was a simple one: to go home. As he watched his men prepare the ships for the journey back, a profound sense of injustice settled upon him. He had faced the greatest warriors of Troy. He had survived the horrors of a decade-long siege. Surely, the journey home would be the easy part. A short sail across the Aegean Sea, a hero's welcome, a reunion with his loved ones. It was all he had ever wanted. It was what he had earned. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The universe does not always reward victory with peace. Sometimes, the greatest challenges are not found on the battlefield, but in the journey that follows. Odysseus believed the hardest part was over. He believed his suffering had finally come to an end. He was a king, a hero, a victor. Standing there, filled with pride for his accomplishments and his intellect, he felt invincible. He felt he was the master of his own destiny. He was wrong. So terribly wrong. The war was just the beginning. A new, far more terrifying ordeal was about to begin. An odyssey that would test him in ways the war never could. It would push him to the very limits of human endurance and beyond. It would be a journey so perilous, so fraught with monsters and magic, that it would make the Trojan War look like a simple skirmish. Odysseus didn't know that one sentence spoken in pride would anger a god and turn the sea against him forever. The salty air stank of rot and something ancient, something monstrous. We were trapped. The cave, which had seemed a refuge from the storm, was now our prison. A shadow fell over the entrance, and the ground trembled with each step. It was him, Polyphemus, a giant, Ouida, Single, unblinking eye in the center of his forehead. He rolled a boulder across the opening, sealing our fate with a sickening crunch of stone against stone. The darkness that followed was absolute, but the silence was worse. It was a silence filled with the sound of our own hearts pounding, a drumbeat of pure terror. Days bled into one another, marked only by the grim ritual of the giant's meals. He'd reach into our huddle, his massive, hairy hand closing around 2 of my men. Their screams would echo off the damp stone walls, then fall silent. We were livestock, waiting for the slaughter. Hunger gnawed at our bellies, a constant, aching pain. but it was the helplessness that truly broke us. We were warriors, men who had faced the armies of Troy, now reduced to cowering in the dark, watching our friends be devoured. Despair was a cold blanket, smothering every last spark of hope. I had to do something. I was their leader. Their lives depended on me. Staring into the flickering light of the giant's fire, a desperate plan began to form in my mind. It was a mad gamble, a thin thread of hope in a chasm of despair. I approached the Cyclops, holding out a skin of my strongest, unwatered wine. He snatched it from me, his one eye glaring with suspicion. "What's this, little man?" he boomed, his voice like grinding rocks. I bowed my head, trying to keep my voice steady. "A gift, mighty Polyphemus, a small offering for your hospitality." He grunted and took a long drink, then another. His eye softened slightly. "It's good," he rumbled. "Tell me your name, and I'll give you a gift in return. I'll eat you last." My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it. The moment it all hinged on. "My name," I said, my voice clear and deliberate, "is Nobody?" The giant roared with laughter, a terrible, booming sound that shook the very foundations of the cave. "Nobody. A fine name. Well, Nobody, I will keep my promise. All your friends will die before you." He drained the rest of the wine, and soon, his head began to nod. The powerful drink, combined with his gluttony, sent him crashing to the floor in a drunken stupor. His snores were like thunder, echoing through our tomb. Now was our chance. Earlier, we had found a massive olive wood staff. In the cave, we had spent hours sharpening its tip in the fire, hardening it into a deadly point. Now, with the giant unconscious, my remaining men and I lifted the great stake. We positioned it over a single, sleeping eye. With a shared roar of effort and rage, we drove it down. There was a hideous sizzling sound, and a scream that was not human. It was a shriek of pure agony that tore through the cave, a sound that would haunt my dreams for the rest of my days. The giant thrashed, clawing at the burning stake in his eye, blinded and roaring in pain. He stumbled around the cave, howling my name. Nobody is killing me. Nobody is attacking me." He fumbled for the boulder at the entrance, rolling it aside to call for help. His brothers, other Cyclopes on the island, heard his cries and gathered outside. "What's wrong, Polyphemus?" they shouted. "Who is harming you?" "And from the dark maw of the cave," he bellowed his answer. "Nobody is harming me. Nobody is trying to kill me by treachery." His brothers grumbled amongst themselves. "If nobody is harming you, then it must be a plague from the gods. We can't help you with that. Pray to your father, Poseidon." And they left him. My trick had worked. His own words had sealed his fate and secured our escape. But we weren't free yet. He was blinded, but he was still a giant, and he now stood guard at the entrance, his massive arms outstretched, determined that no man would pass. The next morning, as his flock of giant sheep bleated to be let out to pasture, another idea struck me. I tied each of my men to the thick, woolly belly of a large ram. I saved the biggest, the leader of the flock, for myself, clinging tightly to its underside. One by one, the sheep passed under the giant's searching hands. He stroked their backs, murmuring to his beloved animals, oblivious to the human cargo they carried beneath them. When my ram passed, he paused, patting its back. "Ah, my fine friend," he said softly. "Why are you last today? Usually you lead the way. Are you grieving for your master's eye, which that villain Nobody has put out?" My blood ran cold, but I held my breath, motionless. Finally, he let the ram pass. We were out. We were free. We scrambled down to our ship, untied the men, and pushed off from the cursed shore with frantic energy. The adrenaline was still pumping, a heady mix of terror and triumph. We had Don Italiano. We had faced a monster and won. We had survived. As the black ship cut through the waves, pulling us further and further away from the island, Primera looked back. I could see him, the blinded giant, standing on the cliff edge, a pathetic and monstrous figure, roaring in frustration. And that's when it happened. the pride. It swelled in my chest like a tidal wave, hot and intoxicating. Survival wasn't enough. I needed him to know who had beaten him. I needed him to know my name. My men begged me not to. Odysseus, don't. Let it be. We're free. Don't anger him further. But I couldn't listen. The victory was too sweet, too absolute. I cupped my hands around my mouth and shouted across the water, my voice ringing with arrogance. Cyclops, if anyone ever asks you who put out your eye, tell them it was Odysseus, son of Laertes, the sacker of cities, whose home is on Ithaca. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated hubris. I had not just defeated him. I had signed my name to his humiliation. I watched his grotesque face twist in recognition and then in pure rage. He tore a massive chunk of the cliffside from the mountain and hurled it at us. It landed just short of the ship, but the resulting wave nearly capsized us, pushing us back towards the shore. Again, I taunted him, my ego now completely in control. And that was my final, terrible mistake. He raised his hands to the sky, his voice a broken, desperate plea. Hear me, Poseidon, Earthshaker. My father, if I am truly your son, grant me these. Let Odysseus, the sacker of Troy, never reach his home. Or if it is his destiny to see his friends in his native land again, let him come home late and in misery, in a stranger's ship, having lost all his companions, and let him find trouble in his house and across the vast, empty expanse of the sea. I felt a change. A cold dread washed over me, extinguishing the fire of my pride. The sky seemed to darken. The wind, which had been at our backs, died. The waves, which had been carrying us to safety, seemed to slow, to grow heavy and menacing. In the distance, a storm was brewing. Poseidon had heard his son. The sea god's judgment was not death, not a quick end. It was something far worse. It was a promise of endless wandering, of suffering without end. From that moment, the sea no longer carried Odysseus, eat, hunted in. Thank you for watching. If you are moved by this story of pride and consequence, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more tales from the ancient world. The sea turned against them for 10 long years. They had fought a war for a distant king. Now, all they wanted was to go home. But the journey back was a war in itself. Storms erupted from calm skies, splintering their ships and swallowing men whole. With their last breaths, they screamed Odysseus' name, a curse and a prayer mixed into one. Every island they landed on was a test, a new temptation disguised as salvation. They would find food, but it was food they were warned never to touch. They encountered beautiful animals, only to learn they were sacred to the gods. They discovered glittering treasure that didn't belong to mortals. Odysseus, their wise king, pleaded with them. He warned them of the consequences, of the divine anger they were provoking. But what is the voice of one man against the roar of 100 empty stomachs? Hunger is always louder than wisdom. Exhaustion makes a mockery of rules. They were good men, but they were tired. Tired of fighting, tired of starving, and most of all, tired of obeying. So, one by one, they gave in. One by one, they fell. Not because they were evil, but because they were simply human, worn down to their very core. Finally, the day came when Odysseus found himself completely alone, clinging to a piece of driftwood in an endless ocean. The last of his loyal men was gone. He was a king with no kingdom, a captain with no ship, a leader with no one left to lead. The salt stung his eyes, but they weren't tears of relief. He had survived, yes, but it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like a punishment. To be the only one to remember, the only one to carry the weight of all those lost souls. This was his curse. To live while everyone he swore to protect was gone. What is the point of being the sole survivor if you have nothing left to live for? This is the tragic heart of Odysseus' journey, a story that asks us what it truly means to win. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more tales from history and myth. Have you ever felt stuck? Not physically stuck, like in traffic, but stuck in a place that's comfortable, maybe even beautiful, but just not right. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? To have everything you think you should want, yet feel an ache for something else, something you've lost. This isn't just a modern feeling. It's a story as old as time. A story about a hero who was offered paradise, but chose pain instead. And understanding his choice might just help us understand ourselves a little better. Imagine this. A man washes up on a shore, broken and beaten by the sea. He's lost everything: his ship, his crew, his way home. Odysseus, the great hero of the Trojan War, now just a man at the mercy of the waves. And on this island, a woman finds him. Not just any woman. This is Calypso. The ancient poets describe her as breathtakingly beautiful, a goddess with luminous eyes and a voice that could calm the wildest storms. She is powerful, immortal, and utterly captivating. Her island, Odyssey, is a paradise. Think of the most perfect place you can imagine. Lush meadows bursting with wildflowers, crystal clear springs weaving through forests of alder and cypress, and the air filled with the scent of cedarwood and the songs of exotic birds. There is no hardship here, no hunger, no cold, no danger. Calypso offers Odysseus everything a mortal could ever dream of: food that never runs out, wine that flows freely, and a life free from the struggles and sorrows of the human world. And she offers him the ultimate gift, something no man had ever refused: immortality, the chance to live forever with her in this perfect paradise. Never aging, never suffering, never dying, just eternal peace and comfort. It's an irresistible offer, right? Who would say no to that? So, Odysseus accepts. He stays. For 7 long years. He lives in this utopia. He doesn't have to fight for his life. He doesn't have to worry about his next meal. He is safe. He is comfortable. He lives without pain. But here's the twist. Every single day, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Odysseus would leave Calypso's magical cave. He would walk down to the shore, sit on the rocks, and just stare out at the endless, empty horizon. He wasn't looking for ships. Not really. He was looking towards a home he couldn't see, a life he couldn't have. And as he stared, tears would stream down his face, soaking his clothes. He would weep until his heart felt as empty as the sea before him. Why? Why would a man who has everything, who is living in paradise, cry every single day? It wasn't because he had forgotten his wife, Penelope, or his son, Telemachus, back in Ithaca. It was the opposite. He remembered them all too well. He remembered Penelope's cleverness, her loyalty, the way she smiled. He remembered the son he barely knew. He remembered his life, his identity, his purpose. And remembering it all, while being trapped in a place of perfect comfort, was an agony worse than any physical wound. This is a crucial point we often miss. Comfort can be a cage. When we are grieving, when we have unfinished business in our hearts, a comfortable, painless existence isn't a gift. It's a trap. It numbs the pain, yes, but it also stops us from healing. Grief needs to be felt, to be processed. By living in Calypso's painless world, Odysseus was essentially putting his grief on hold. The comfort she offered was dangerous because his heart's work was not done. The ache for home was a vital part of who he was, and to numb that ache would be to lose himself entirely. For 7 years, this was his routine. Paradise by day, heartache by night. Eventually, his profound sadness became so powerful that it reached even the gods on Mount Olympus. They saw him, this great hero, wasting away in a golden cage. They saw that his spirit was being crushed, not by hardship, but by the absence of it. So Hermes, the messenger god, was sent down to Calypso's island with a message from Zeus himself. Let him go. You must release Odysseus. Calypso is heartbroken, she argues. She pleads. She points out the hypocrisy of the gods, but ultimately, she has to obey. She goes to Odysseus and tells him the news. You are free, she says. You can build a raft and leave. I will even help you. Now, think about this moment. After 7 years of being a prisoner, you'd expect a celebration, right? Shouts of joy, a huge party, maybe a victory dance. But Odysseus doesn't celebrate. The ancient texts say he was suspicious at first. But once he believed her, there was no grand explosion of relief. There was just a quiet, grim determination. He didn't thank her profusely or leap for joy. He simply started working. He cut down trees, built a raft, and prepared for the treacherous journey home. He was walking away from immortality, from perfect safety, from a goddess who loved him. He was choosing to walk back into a world of pain, struggle, and uncertainty. He knew the sea was dangerous. He knew he might die. He knew that even if he made it home, things might have changed, that he might not be welcomed. He was choosing suffering. Why? Because the love he had for his family and his home, even with all the pain and heartbreak that came with it, mattered more to him than an eternity of empty comfort. His suffering was connected to his purpose. His pain was a sign that his love was still alive. That painful, messy, difficult human love was more valuable to him than a perfect, painless, immortal existence. He chose to be human, with all that it entails. This story resonates so deeply because, on some level, we've all been on Calypso's island. Maybe it's a job that's comfortable but unfulfilling. A relationship that's safe but lacks passion. A routine that keeps us from facing our real dreams or dealing with old wounds. We build these comfortable little islands for ourselves to avoid pain, to avoid risk. But in doing so, we might also be avoiding what makes us feel most alive. Odysseus's choice reminds us that not all pain is bad, and not all comfort is good. Sometimes, the things that cause us the most heartache are the things that define us. The things that give our lives meaning. The ache for something more. The grief for what we've lost. The struggle to get back to who we are. That is the journey of being human. It's not about seeking a life without pain. It's about finding a pain that's worth the price. It's about choosing the difficult path that leads back to your own personal Ithaca, to your true self. So if you ever find yourself sitting on a comfortable shore, staring at a distant horizon with an ache in your heart, don't be afraid of it. That ache is a compass. It's pointing you home. Like Odysseus, you might have to choose to leave paradise. You might have to choose to walk back into suffering. But in doing so, you are choosing love. You are choosing purpose. You are choosing to live. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments below. What is your And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that help us understand the beautiful, messy journey of life. See you next time.